Emily Parker felt a flutter in her chest the moment she stepped through the dark wooden doors of the old lakeside lodge in Vermont. The place smelled of pine, warm cider, and the kind of nostalgia that caught people off guard. Snowflakes clung to her coat as she brushed them off and looked around, trying to calm the nervous energy racing through her. She told herself she was here for the reunion, nothing more. Everyone from her old college group was gathering for the first time in years. They planned it for months. She agreed to come because she missed the people, the laughter, the memories. But deep down, she knew there was another reason she found herself standing in the lodge lobby, staring at the fire as if it held answers. Ethan Carter, she hadn't seen him since last winter, a brief, slightly awkward meeting where they exchanged warm smiles but kept their feelings locked away behind polite words. Their friendship had always walked a thin line between closeness and something more. They had shared late-night talks, long walks back to their dorms, coffee dates that never felt like just coffee. Yet for reasons she never understood, they never crossed that line. And after graduation, life scattered them in different directions. Ethan moved to Boston, Emily stayed in Chicago. And their promise to stay in touch faded into occasional holiday messages. Now here they were. In the same place again. Emily took a breath and scanned the room, pretending she wasn't searching for him. She wanted to seem composed, but her heart betrayed her the moment she saw him standing near the stone fireplace, laughing with two old friends and someone she didn't recognize. Ethan looked different, more confident, more grounded. It's almost as if life had shaped him into a better version of the boy she remembered. His brown hair was slightly longer, his smile still warm, his posture relaxed yet strong. Something inside her tightened, a blend of excitement and nervous anticipation. She was glad to see him. She hated how obvious it felt, before she had time to gather herself. More friends arrived, pulling her into hugs and enthusiastic greetings. She tried to lose herself in conversations, catching up about jobs, families, and all the unexpected turns their lives had taken over the years. But her attention kept drifting back to Ethan. She noticed the way he glanced in her direction every now and then, quick and subtle, as if checking whether she noticed him too. Emily tried to stay calm, acting as though her heart wasn't racing each time their eyes met across the room. People began moving toward the refreshment table, filling cups with hot cider or mulled wine. The fireplace crackled gently in the background, adding warmth to the already cozy atmosphere. Laughter filled the room, blending with the soft hum of conversation. It should have been comforting. It should have felt easy. Instead, Emily felt a growing restlessness. It's like something long unresolved was pushing its way back into her life. Finally, she decided to escape outside for a moment. The snow had stopped and the cold air might help clear her thoughts. But before she could take a step, she felt someone lightly touch her elbow. She turned. It was Ethan. Her breath caught for a second. His expression was soft, almost uncertain. But there was a kind of seriousness in his eyes she hadn't seen before. "Emily," he said quietly, "do you have a minute?" She nodded, unable to hide the small smile forming on her lips. "Of course." He seemed relieved, though he tried to hide it. "There's something I've been meaning to talk to you about. Could we maybe find a quieter place?" "Sure," she said, trying to sound calm, even though her heartbeat had taken off again. He hesitated for a moment, looking around as if deciding something. Then he said, "There's a room upstairs, room 14. I'll meet you there in a few minutes." His voice carried a gentle urgency, like whatever he wanted to say had been waiting a long time. Emily felt a rush of emotions, curiosity, hope, fear, confusion, but she didn't question him. She simply nodded. "Okay," she said. Ethan gave a faint smile, one that reached his eyes, and stepped back. "I'll be there soon." Emily watched him for a second before turning toward the staircase. Her steps were slow at first, then quicker as the anticipation built. She had no idea what he wanted to talk about. Maybe it was something simple. Maybe it was something about the past. Or maybe he was finally ready to say the things they both left unsaid. The wooden steps creaked softly as she ascended. The hallway upstairs was quieter, dimly lit, and lined with old framed photos of the lodge in earlier decades. She stopped in front of room 14. The door was slightly open, just enough to suggest someone might already be inside. Her stomach tightened. She pushed it gently. The room was warm, with soft yellow lighting and a large window overlooking the snowy lake. But Emily didn't focus on the furniture or the view. She focused on the woman standing near the window. She was tall, with soft blonde hair and a calm expression that quickly shifted into confusion when she noticed. Emily froze in the doorway. The woman looked just as surprised to see her. "Oh," the woman said, straightening eye. "Didn't know anyone else was coming." Emily swallowed, her confusion turning into something sharper. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to intrude. Ethan told me to meet him here." The woman blinked, stunned. "He told me the same thing." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence grew heavier, pressing into the space between them. Emily's mind raced, trying to make sense of what was happening. Had Ethan made a mistake? Had he mixed up times? Or was it something else entirely? The woman shifted awkwardly and finally offered a small, polite smile. "I'm Claire. Claire Benson. We all went to college together, right?" Emily recognized her now. Claire had been part of their larger friend group, kind, intelligent, always friendly. She remembered that Claire once seemed close to Ethan, too. Not in a dramatic way, but close enough that Emily noticed. "Yes," Emily said softly. "I remember." Claire looked relieved for a moment, but the tension quickly returned as they both processed the situation. "What exactly did he want to talk to you about?" Claire asked. "I don't know," Emily replied honestly. "He just asked me to meet him upstairs." Claire nodded slowly. "Same here." Their eyes met again, this time with a sharper understanding. A door clicked at the end of the hall. Footsteps echoed toward the room. Emily felt her pulse quicken. Claire inhaled sharply. Ethan appeared in the doorway. The moment he saw both of them, he stopped in his tracks. He looked from Emily to Claire and then back again, his expression tightening with surprise and something that resembled regret. "Emily, Claire," he murmured. "I didn't expect you to arrive at the same time." Emily felt her stomach sink. Claire crossed her arms, her brows raised in a mix of confusion and disbelief. The warm room suddenly felt cold. Emily wanted to speak, wanted to ask the questions swirling through her mind, but her voice wouldn't come. Ethan stepped inside, running a hand nervously through his hair. "I know this looks strange, and I know it's not how I planned it." He paused, searching for words. "But there's a reason I asked both of you to come here." Emily's breath caught. Claire Ethan looked at the floor for a moment, gathering courage before meeting their eyes again. "There are things I should have said years ago," he said quietly. "And tonight, I need to finally say them." But before he could explain further, the room fell into a tense, breathless silence, one that left Emily confused, unsteady, and completely unsure of what was about to happen next. And she knew, deep in her chest, that whatever Ethan was about to reveal would change the entire night forever. The room felt smaller as Ethan stepped fully inside, his eyes darting between Emily and Claire. Both women stood tense, the weight of unspoken words hanging thickly in the air. Emily felt her heartbeat accelerate. The warmth from the fireplace did nothing to calm the tight knot in her chest. She tried to focus on Ethan, on the words he might say. But everything felt suspended, like a moment held between past regrets and possible futures. "I didn't mean for this to happen," Ethan began, his voice low but steady. "I didn't think both of you would be here at the same time. I didn't plan for, well, this." He gestured vaguely, unable to find the exact words. He ran a hand through his hair again, a small, nervous habit she remembered from college days. Emily noticed it immediately. It was familiar, human, almost comforting, and yet it reminded her of everything they had left unsaid. Claire's eyes softened, but she kept her arms folded, a defensive barrier between her and the uncertainty of the moment. "So, this is exactly what? Some kind of group confrontation?" She asked lightly, though her voice carried tension. She wasn't angry, but Emily could sense the cautious hope behind her words. "No," Ethan replied quickly. not a confrontation. Not at all. I brought you both here because there are things I've been meaning to say for years, and I couldn't figure out a way to do it without saying it now." His gaze finally landed on Emily. She could feel the intensity in his eyes, the weight of memories they shared silently. Emily's throat went dry. Her mind raced through everything that had happened between them. The moments they had laughed late into the night, the walks in snow, the coffee conversations that always seemed to drift into the personal. There had always been a pull between them, subtle but undeniable. And yet life had always intervened. Careers, distance, timing, and now here he was, standing before her, looking like he might finally speak the truth. Ethan took a slow step closer. "I never wanted to hurt either of you," he said softly, "but I know I did. I know my silence, my indecision, left things unresolved. And that's not fair to either of you." Emily swallowed, feeling a mix of relief and pain. Relief because finally someone was admitting it. Pain because the memories of longing, the moments she had replayed in her mind, came rushing back. "Why now?" she whispered. "After all this time?" Ethan paused, looking away briefly before meeting her eyes again. "Because I realized that silence hurts more than honesty. And I didn't want another year to pass without telling you what's in my heart, even if it complicates things." Claire stepped forward slowly, her voice gentle. "Ethan, I think I understand. We've all changed. Life doesn't wait, and sometimes the right words come late. But what is it you want to say to us?" Ethan exhaled, the tension leaving him in a small burst. "Claire, Emily, I care for both of you deeply. I've cared for both of you for a long time. But I handled it poorly back then. I never told either of you the full truth because I was afraid of hurting our friendships." Emily felt a lump in her throat. She wanted to speak, to ask questions, to demand clarity, but she couldn't. Her hands were trembling slightly. Memories of late-night phone calls with Ethan, moments of laughter that felt like intimacy, and the quiet longing they shared seemed to converge in this small room. Ethan's gaze softened, lingering on Emily for just a moment longer. "But now I need to be honest. I can't keep avoiding this. Not with either of you." His words were deliberate, gentle, but carried the weight of years. "Tonight I need to say everything that's been left unsaid. And I need both of you to hear it, even if it's complicated." Claire nodded, understanding dawning in her eyes. "So you're not asking us to choose tonight?" she said softly. "You just need to speak." "Yes," Ethan admitted. "I need to speak. And I want both of you to understand what I feel. And I want to give you both the chance to ask me questions, to say whatever you need." Emily's heart pounded. She had imagined this moment countless times in her mind, but it never looked like this. Not with Claire here, not with the raw honesty in Ethan's eyes. She had expected maybe a private conversation, maybe a confession of feelings, maybe closure. But this was something more profound. This was truth laid bare. Ethan continued, his voice steady despite the emotion. "Back in college, I cared for both of you in different ways. Emily, you were always the one who challenged me, who made me feel understood even when I didn't understand myself. Claire, you were the one who inspired me, who made me think about life and love in ways I hadn't before. And I didn't handle either of those feelings with care. I left things vague, ambiguous, and I see now how that hurt you both." Emily's eyes filled slightly. She remembered nights she had lain awake, wondering if she had misread signals, wondering if Ethan had ever truly cared. And now he was telling her he had cared, but he had been afraid. He had held back. Claire's voice was quiet but strong. "Ethan, that's a lot to take in. And it explains a lot, actually. But why now, after all these years?" Ethan took a deep breath, glancing at the window for a moment before turning back to them. "I'm leaving Boston next month for work. A long-term assignment in Vancouver. I realize this is my last chance to face the past, to speak honestly before I go. I didn't want to leave without clearing the air." The room fell silent. Emily's mind raced. The reality of it hit her. He was moving far away, and time was slipping through their fingers. Everything they had left unsaid now carried the weight of urgency. Ethan stepped closer to Emily, his gaze fixed on hers. "Emily, there's something I need to tell you alone, if you're willing." Claire nodded slowly, a soft smile crossing her face. "I understand," she said. "I think this part is yours." As Claire moved toward the door, the tension in the room shifted. The focus narrowed to just Emily and Ethan. Emily felt a mixture of fear, anticipation, and something else, hope. She had imagined this moment in her mind hundreds of times, but never like this. Never with the honesty, the vulnerability, the raw emotion she could see in his eyes. Ethan exhaled slowly, stepping closer. "Emily, when I asked you to come upstairs, it wasn't for closure. I needed to be honest with you. To tell you what I should have said a long time ago. And to ask if there's a chance for us to begin again." Emily's chest tightened. She wanted to speak, but words failed her. Every thought, every memory, every feeling she had buried for so long seemed to surface at once. She thought of their walks in the snow, the coffee dates that lingered too long, the laughter, the glances that held meaning beyond the words they used. And now, here he was, offering a chance, uncertain and tentative, but real. I don't know what to say," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "You don't have to say anything yet," Ethan replied softly. "Just listen, feel, and know that I'm here. And I mean every word. I've carried this with me for too long, and I can't anymore." Emily took a shaky breath. Her mind was a whirlwind of emotion, fear of getting hurt again, hope that maybe this time it could be different, longing for the closeness they once shared, and the ache of lost time. She looked at Ethan, at the sincerity in his eyes, and realized that the choice wasn't just his. It was theirs. It always had been. Ethan reached out, a hand hovering near hers, but not touching. "Emily, I want to start again if you're willing. Not because I'm leaving, not because I have regrets, but because I believe we have something worth trying for. Something real." Her heart pounded. She wanted to reach out, to bridge the distance, to take the chance she had imagined for years. She could feel the weight of the moment, the fragility, the beauty, the honesty of it all. Before she could respond, a soft knock sounded at the door. Both Emily and Ethan turned in surprise. The sound was gentle, polite, but in that quiet room it felt loud. Ethan's brow furrowed slightly. "Who?" he asked. That the door opened just a crack, revealing a familiar face from the lodge. A friend from the group, someone who had come to check on them, unsure of what to expect. The expression on their face suggested they had stumbled into a moment that was charged, personal and unexpected. Emily and Ethan exchanged a glance, the intensity of the room shifting in an instant. The world outside their conversation was still moving, still waiting, and yet in that space, the emotions between them had found their own gravity. Emily realized in that instant that life was messy, unpredictable, and fleeting. But sometimes, if you were brave enough, you could step into the unknown, into the moments that scared you, into the truths that had been waiting for years. And that night in room 14, Emily felt that she was standing on the edge of something life-changing, something full of hope, something worth the risk. And as Ethan's eyes held hers, filled with vulnerability, sincerity, and longing, she knew that no matter what came next, nothing would ever be the same again.